Chapter 1042. Plan from a different angle. After a few seconds, Sharon calmly replied to Klein, "It's not bait, but a ploy to lure them out." Just as Klein was about to ask what the difference was, Merrick explained in detail. Back when we were pursued by the Rose School of Thought, we discovered that they had quite a number of members in Backland. However, due to our lack of strength and our fear of traps, as well as to not attract the attention of the church, we didn't take any action against them. This time, we plan on attacking one of the more important ones. We'll deliberately miss some out, allowing the hidden ones to secretly escape and pass the information to the Rose School of Thought's person in charge in Backland. In secret, the Sanguine's demigod will be watching them. Through the message chain, they will find the person in charge. That person must be a key member of the Rose School of Thought. Once he's killed or even captured, we'll take the next step in our operation based on the information we manage to obtain. That's more reasonable. The main point is to use your own understanding of the Rose School of Thought to create a plan instead of using yourself as bait. That's a way to effectively control the situation and not destroy Backland. Klein nodded gently and said, "If that's the case, I can participate." He didn't say that he needed to think about it or return to confirm the level of danger. This was because this matter wasn't something that needed to be done anytime soon for Sharon and the Sanguine. When he divined problems, he could always call it off as a participant. "What kind of payment do you need?" Merrick's standing posture relaxed as he asked. Klein smiled. "If there aren't any accidents the entire time, I wish to receive one instance of free assistance from Ma'am Rionette Tinecare. If I have to involve myself in the operation, I can always add the condition of having priority on the spoils of war. You can discuss this with Ma'am Rionette Tinecare before writing to tell me the answer." In fact, he was still a little puzzled. He believed that with such a plan, there was no need to seek him out. With Miss Messenger hiding in the shadows, it was enough to prevent any accidents that Sherlock Moriarty could deal with. "There's no need." Sharon, with her exquisite looks and pale face, shook her head gently like a doll. "I can agree to it now." "Has she already discussed it with Miss Messenger?" Klein thought for a few seconds and honestly asked, "Then, why don't you directly ask Miss Rionette Tinecare for help to prevent any accidents from happening?" Sharon's hair remained motionless as though bound tightly by the petite bonnet. She replied in an ethereal and fleeting voice, "She doesn't wish for the Sanguine to discover her existence." "Is that so?" Klein deliberated for a moment and raised another question. "You advocate temperance, so why are you seeking out the key members of the Rose School of Thought? Is revenge not within the limits of temperance?" Sharon looked at him with her blue eyes and said, "In recent decades, the Rose School of Thought has been trying its best to let the mother tree of desire descend into the real world. This will bring about an unimaginable disaster. In addition, Teacher also desires her body to be complete. If the mother tree of desire were to descend into the real world, it would be an unimaginable disaster for me. However, what has this got to do with the completeness of Miss Messenger's body? Her body was once torn apart and is being held by different key members of the Rose School of Thought. Or can the body's high-sequence beyonders of the same sequence and their characteristics be made into a part of her through some ritual?" Klein mumbled inwardly as he probed, "Is Abomination sequence one of the mutant pathway? Then what are sequence 2 and sequence 3? He had asked Miss Sharon the first question before, but he had only received a vague answer. Sharon answered without any hesitation. She didn't speak too fast, but her voice remained ethereal and inhuman. "I wasn't too sure about it in the past. Now I can confirm that sequence 1 is Abomination, sequence 2 is Ancient Bane, sequence 3 is Cursed Artifact, but is now known as Disciple of Silence. Does that mean that you weren't certain when I asked you the last time? That is to say, when you summoned Miss Messenger and reunited with her, you managed to learn more secrets?" Klein nodded in enlightenment. "I have no more questions. After confirming the time for the operation, write to me." "Thank you." Sharon once again floated up and bowed. Merrick pressed his hand to his chest and slightly bent his back. "There's no need." Klein stood up from the high stool and wore his top hat with a smile. This time, without a smacking sound, scarlet flames rose and engulfed him. Under the night sky, countless lights silently lit up in Backland, as though they were stars that were covered in clouds descending upon the land. With the few stars twinkling, Klein returned to the rental apartment at the periphery of East Borough. After changing his clothes and preparing to return to North Borough's Berkland Street, he heard a series of illusory pleas. It was from a man. After nodding in thought, Klein immediately took 4 steps counterclockwise and arrived above the gray fog. He extended his spirituality towards the constantly expanding and shrinking crimson star. As he expected, this corresponded to the moon Emlyn. The vampire, who has already become a viscount, prayed sincerely, "Honorable Mr. Fool, I wish to apply for a mini-gathering that includes me, Mr. Hanged Man, Ma'am Hermit, Miss Justice, Mr. World." To Emlyn, these people are the Tarot Club's representatives in intelligence, experience, and knowledge. Poor Leonard. Klein chuckled silently as he leaned back into his chair and agreed to Emlyn's request. Above the grayish-white fog, inside the ancient palace, 5 dark red beams of light appeared on both sides of the long bronze table, forming different figures. "Mr. Moon, has the Sanguine's plan been finalized?" Audrey greeted everyone before asking with interest. Emlyn surveyed the area and frankly said, "Yes, the detailed plan is this. Through 2 Temperance faction members who escaped from the Rose School of Thought." He recounted the plan Sharon had described to Sherlock Moriarty from a different angle to the world J.M. Sparrow and Company. When he was done, he said, "If we can obtain effective information, we Sanguine plan on seizing the opportunity to launch a surprise attack on the Rose School of Thought's headquarters. We hope to take an important item from them." "What important item?" Katlia asked curiously. This was an item that could spur an ancient faction into an attempt on attacking a secret organization's headquarters. It definitely wasn't simple. Its importance might even exceed that of an ordinary angel, stronger than some Grade 0 sealed artifacts. Emlyn didn't hide anything. "It's a holy artifact left behind by our Sanguine ancestor. I'm not sure what particular accident led to the Rose School of Thought obtaining it." A holy artifact left behind by Lilith, in the hands of the Rose School of Thought. The Sanguine has placed great importance on it. This time, Klein, who was acting as the world J.M. Sparrow with his true body, had key points flashing through his mind. Then, together with his understanding of many secrets, he quickly had an unconfirmed theory. That might be the key to the Mother Tree of Desire's ability to intrude and control part of the Moon Domain's authority. This is something Miss Sharon and the others didn't mention. The Sanguine have kept things from them as well and have quite great ambitions. Yes, I can't use ambition to describe them. That ancestor Lilith, whose identity is unknown, seems to have foreseen the chaos from the situation and the coming of the apocalypse. Therefore, the Sanguine was made to change its style and become more proactive, so as to have more things to rely on. This is the acquisition of a lifebuoy in preparation for the apocalypse. Klein didn't say a word as he listened silently. The others were also taking in the important information that the moon had revealed, and Alger was no exception. He pondered for a few seconds before saying, "In other words, you Sanguine will be hiding in secret this entire operation and won't be targeted by the Rose School of Thought." "Yes," Emlyn answered rather casually. The Sanguine's plan was jointly decided by Duke Almer and Marquis Nibbs, as well as a few earls in Backland. Many problems had undoubtedly been brainstormed and reconsidered. Regardless, even if a pig were to live for more than a millennium, it would definitely gain a certain level of wisdom and experience. Alger nodded slightly. "I have another question. How are you so sure that the Backland person in charge of the Rose School of Thought is only a saint? There might be more demigods or even an angel hiding." "You should know very well that the situation in Backland is very complicated. It's not impossible for the Rose School of Thought to increase the number of powerhouses it has to plot certain matters. If that's the case, you will end up resembling thieves who wish to steal something, only to storm right into Civilhouse Yard." Civilhouse Yard was another name for the Backland Police Department. Emlyn became more relaxed. This time, Duke Almer will personally watch over the entire process. Even if the Rose School of Thought's angel descends, we can easily escape. In addition, no matter which side, they're not actually willing to create an intense conflict in Backland. Without any crushing advantage or the confidence to not cause a huge commotion, they will naturally cease any fighting. Upon hearing his answer, the corners of Catlia's mouth curled up indiscernibly as she warned. To Beyonders who aren't demigods, even a slight clash between angels would produce aftershocks that are enough to destroy them. Emlyn snapped out of his state of drowning in pride from experiencing the potency of the sanguine. He was momentarily at a loss for words. At this moment, Audrey's eyes darted around as though she was thinking of something. "Mr. Moon, what do you need to do in this plan?" "What do I need to do?" "Monitoring the secret members of the Rose School of Thought and locking onto the true target from the information received will be done by Earl Mistral. The one who will ultimately take action is Marquis Nibs, Earl Mistral, and the Rose School of Thought Temperance faction's demigod. Duke Almer will be the one monitoring in secret to prevent any accidents. My only job is apparently to contact that wraith named Merrick and maintain communications between both parties." The more Emlyn thought about it, the odder his expression became. It seemed like there was nothing for him to do, or at least nothing particularly important.